Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check. Court is in session, as today we're talking about the Court of the Phoenician. I am Innes Wilson, and I am joined by Bruce Duffy, my Team Scotland vice captain and Emperor's Children extraordinaire, and we're going to be chatting all about the brand new Fulgrim detachment. Bruce, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, tell us why people should care about you.
I'm Bruce Duffy. I've been on this competitive scene for about almost 3 years now. This will be my third potential WTC coming up. And as I said at the start, I'm vice captain with Innes this year, pretty much just HR. Well, Innes does all the actual technical stuff and captaincy stuff.
Why should people listen to you? What's your competitive pedigree, Bruce? Come on, tell us why.
I top podiumed at a super major where I lost to Josh Roberts with Creations of Bio months ago. I know we have all been there. I've lost to Innes multiple times at multiple GTs. He's kicked me off of multiple podiums, which I'm really sad about. Also winning events.
Yeah, and Bruce plays a lot of Emperor's Children, which is obviously why we've got him on today. You'll hear Anthony's thoughts on the show later tonight, so we figured we would get somebody a little less interesting to make sure the show stays as peak as it can be. No, Bruce is wonderful, and you should definitely listen to what he has to say. So we're here today to talk about Court of the Phoenician, which is the brand new Fulgrim-based attachment. It is broadly a damaged attachment, which is super cool because Emperor's Children don't have enough of those, do they, Bruce? There's no damaged attachments in Emperor's Children.
More defensive, please. We got a tank spam one. We got a transport one.
You do. Yeah, it's really bad.
I've never played it.
All right. So here is the overview of Court of the Phoenician. Here's the sort of the generals. So the main rule is when you charge, you can choose to add additional criteria to your attack, which is that you can only hit things that nothing else has hit this turn, or that you didn't start the turn in engagement range with. And if you do, you get +1 strength and AP. Now, this is an optional ability. You don't have to turn it on. So if you do have to do multi-charges and things like that, because you're kind of playing around with thrill seekers, you need to kill something bigger, you can choose to not take this. But if you do take it, +1 strength and AP, which is obviously quite a large buff. A lot of the Emperor's Children book is kind of centered around that strength 4 to 8 breakpoint, where getting the ability to push things up to, pushing in fractures with their wound rolls to strength 5 will often functionally be more than will be +1 to wound. And you have a lot of other situations like that. Demon Prince is going to strength 9, being a great example there as well. What are your thoughts on this one, Bruce?
Yeah, it's similar to our army rule in the way that multiple units can still hit the same unit, whereas the first unit just picks to increase their strength and AP, and then the next unit just goes ahead straight after. So it's kind of similar, another restriction, but able to be played around just like our army rule.
Yeah, and what kind of stands out to you as being the things that are most interesting to put this on in general? Like what calls to you when you see this?
I have been looking at Flawless Blades constantly because I've been trying to make Flawless Blades work for ages, as you know. Like you shout at me every time I show them in a list. But Flawless Blades in this detachment, especially with the enhancements later on, that we'll get into, but seem very nice going up to AP4, and then with Footprints is going up to AP5, especially with Victrix going everywhere in singles meta right now. It feels like a consistent way to deal with them.
Yeah, it makes sense. Is there anything else that kind of stands out as being other data sheets that are interesting here? Obviously, we have a slide for this, but I'm curious what your immediate thoughts were of what did you want to put this on? It was just Flawless Blades?
Yeah, I'm just really, I just really want them to work because they're such cool models.
Fair enough. Okay, and then the second part of the attachment rule is that there are 2 stratagems that Fulgrim, if he targets himself with them, he gets -1 sees the CP cost. So he can use the go through wall stratagem for 0, and he can use the rerolls the hit and wound stratagem for 1. I've marked both of those with an asterisk on the bottom section. What do you think about that one? Does that make Fulgrim seem more appealing to you?
If no one predicts where his base lands, it makes him very, very nice. But as soon as someone actually predicts and pre-measures where his base can land, even going through the wall, then it still really hurts. But I'm going to test him for a bit. I really want him to work. He's such a cool model. But yeah, I need to see it. I've not actually played with
his base is very large.
Yeah, I need to try him on WTC. UKTC, I can see him working.
You played a bunch with Rodriguez, right? And I remember you were doing one event with Rodriguez and being like, never again.
Yeah, that's because in half the deployments I'm on the line or I'm stuck in my deployment zone. But at least Fulgrim can fix that issue with just going through walls now. And he's super fast. He's like moves 16, advance and charge. It's pretty
going through walls if you need it as well, and ignoring terrain under 4 inches in height. Yeah, he's definitely got a lot of mobility now, right? All right, for enhancements, we've got ignore weapon skill, hit, and wound modifiers for the bear's unit in melee. We've got Lord Exaltant getting +1 movement and joining flawless blades. We've got making an enemy unit in engagement range at the start of the battle fight phase, taking battle shock at -1, which is actually quite nice with Noise Marines being able to stack leadership debuffs. And then we've got the Demon Prince get +1 strength and attack in melee. What are your thoughts here? What stands out? What combos are you looking at here?
Yeah, the first time I actually read the ignore weapon skill, hit, and wound modifiers, I really like that as just if it was a cheap enhancement, the fact that it doesn't ignore like damage modifiers, because that's the big thing with Lord
And
Exalted.
AP modifiers as well, being another
Yeah,
big one.
like the aspect host one.
Mm-hmm.
If it was like that, it'd be really interesting for 25 points. But
For aspect host doesn't ignore wound modifiers, which is a pretty big deal. So there are conditions. I think the biggest problem with me for that one is that most of the units you would want to put this on, Emperor Children units tend to be fairly one shot, and spending another 25 points on what is already a fairly expensive one use only unit feels kind of bad to me.
yeah, 105 points for a Lord with this enhancement just doesn't feel worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have the Join Flawless Blades one, which I think you're a big fan of because joining Flawless Blades is fun.
Yeah, I personal playstyle, I love like a Death Star unit. Like if I play CSM, I love like Fabius with Chosen, 10-man Chosen. So like in my head, Lord Exultant with 6 flawless blades going toe to toe with. I'm going to use Victrix as another example again, but going toe to toe with Victrix, and they could arguably one shot the squad with some of the strats later on.
So what I'm hearing here is that we should be doing 6 with Fulgrim, 6 with Lucius, and 6 with Lord Exultant.
Well, Lucius doesn't give them anything, but still hurts my soul. It loses fight first, loses load up just to join flawless blades. It's
sure. So this
great.
gives you a way to have a lethal flawless blade squad whilst having Lucius if you want it as well.
Yes, yeah. I give them lethal hits is nice. It's kind of counterproductive to their ability, but I mean, it gets more.
It's still better than nothing, right? It's still better than those those 6 to hit that will some of them will fail to wound, right? So
yeah, but pushing the Lord Exultant up to with the detachment rule, pushing Lord Exultant up to strength 8 breaks a ton of brackets. With his natural lance, just yeah.
Yeah, he wounds most stuff in the game on 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Yeah,
There's very little that he doesn't at that point.
yeah,
He still he even putting some to win new Victrix on 2s.
exactly.
And then the Demon Prince getting +1 strength attack in melee. You called out that the keywords mean that this only goes onto the footprints, but the footprints is quite interesting in this attachment because AP works quite well with other AP stacking buffs, so you'll push yourself to the +2 AP on anything that charges in this detachment, and then the Demon Prince himself going to strength 10 AP 4 damage 3 while handing out +1 AP and then another +1 AP from the detachment rule does put a lot of things to breakpoints. Getting hit by AP 3 in Fracture Squads is certainly not something I enjoy the idea of, and getting hit by an AP 5 Lord Exultant is terrifying in a lot of contexts.
And the flawless blades with them. They'll be AP5 as well.
Sure, they will. Okay, so stratagems. I think the biggest thing here is there's not a ton of great defensive stratagems here. I think that was my immediate kind of notice. So we've got 1 CP, -1 to wound if strength is greater than toughness. It's just worse than the Ultramarines one. The Ultramarines one is strength equal to or greater than toughness. Why is this weaker? I don't get it. But it is nice that it's unkeyed. It goes on anything. So Fulgrim can use it, a Mauler can use it, Lucius can use it. So it's not armoric attempt, but sometimes it'll feel like it. You've got reroll hits and wounds against targeting a character unit, which is one of the ones Fulgrim can reduce. You've got go through walls in the movement or charge phase for non-fallback moves, which is very good. It does use before you make the move, so you can't like roll your advance, see if you need to go through the wall and then kind of fish. It is pre-timed. We have +1 strength and AP for a shooting unit within 12, which great on Noise Marines, great on actually kind of fun on the Mauler guns as well, pushing them to strength 10 with potentially +1 to hit and wound if you're shooting something while you're taking damage can be kind of interesting, and AP5 on those as well. We've got a charge phase stratagem to give a demon a reroll, a 6-inch R of reroll charges, which has good timing. You can use it after you fail a charge to then have a CP reroll, and then also give everything else a reroll. So it's a thing you'll use instead of CP reroll a decent amount of time. And then we've got shooting phase. You can make a D6-inch surge move if you take damage of any kind. What are your thoughts on the stratagem? What stands out to you here?
Yeah, I really like most of these. It feels like every single one has use as well. Like my main thoughts, like with the blood surge, is just niche to have. Like being able to have Lucius fight first and then being able to blood surge into people, it makes it, and then fight first. It seems like it's very difficult to do. There's also not keyworded, so anything can blood surge, like a Rhino, a Mauler Fiend, Fulgrim. It seems very nice, or reactive move and spawn, and then being able to surge into awkward spots that your opponent didn't actually want you to go to, if they ever did shoot them. But yeah, the main one, 2 CP, reroll all hits, all wounds against character units. There's a lot of big character bricks right now going about in the meta. And then just having access to that, especially with units that normally don't get it, normally don't get access to any rerolls, feels really, really nice. And also, turn 1 Fulgrim, just free strap move through wall turn 1 and then 1 CP in the charge phase just to go through another wall to hit your opponent's deployment zone seems very stupid, and I really want to try
feel
it.
like you're working
Search
really
and
hard.
destroy
I
deploys
think
in
you're
the
working
line,
really
goes
hard for your
first.
money there, but I look forward to seeing it.
If you're using Fulgrim, you're already trying
Sure.
too much.
All right, let's take a look at some of the units that we think are going to be important. So I kind of got a list here of the things, and I mean, this is just the entire Emperor's Children unit list. So I mean, I don't want to be super tight on this one, but Fulgrim obviously benefits a ton from the detachment rule, just getting free stratagems and having a good suite of stratagems, and also being your warlord isn't as big a deal in this detachment, right? Because he's locked into that. It does make playing him in Coterie feel a little awkward. Compared to something like Peerless Bladesman, where he's getting, instead of getting lethal hits in addition to his sustained hits, he's getting to push his sweep to strength 9 AP3, which is definitely a good breakpoint. That works for a lot of stuff. It means it can punch lighter vehicles with a little more consistency than his big swings can have, while also killing much smaller units. And AP2 on his like bonus extra attacks is nice. Lord Exaltant plus Infractors, I think, is just probably the best unit in Emperor's Children that isn't a Winged Demon Prince. I don't know how you feel about that one, but I certainly know that I find them so much more annoying for their points.
Yeah, yeah. You run minimum 2 pretty much in every list you make. If you're not running minimum 2, I'm not really sure why. They're just so good value for their points. The amount of times they just punch up for you when you didn't expect it, or they just survive randomly because of the lore. Is yeah, it feels really good.
It also gives you the ability to give them hit and wound rolls against something that's not on an objective, which can be a really big breakpoint for Infractors, because often a lot of the counterplay to them is don't put your big unit on an objective. If the bile brick is stood next to an objective, it's much tougher for the you to interact with positively, right? And so this gives you a way to kind of do that. Flawless Blades, you called them out a bunch. They do get a ton out of this attachment. Being able to give them full hit and wound rerolls is not a bad thing as well. They are a little limited on attack volume, so every attack that you miss with is pretty impactful. Having a squad with the leader going in with, it ends up being, what, for a 3-man is 20 attacks plus the 4 bonus attacks with full hit and wound rerolls that are all wounding on 3s or better is certainly quite nasty for a lot of units in the game right now. And then they're pushing to AP4 as well, which is a really, really interesting breakpoint.
Yeah, having -1 to wound as well, because they're T5 and 3 wounds each. They're semi awkward to kill, maybe not in this current meta, but -1 to wound can really just scam people and then access a blood surge if they don't kill it in time.
Yeah,
just
they're one of those
continue
units that just
use.
requires more investment than people are often willing to give them, right?
Yeah.
Just sometimes you scam 5-up saves.
Yeah.
Both variants of Demon Prince obviously get a ton of detachment. Being able to push them to strength 9 AP3 and AP4 on the wing on the footprints is really good. Lack of access to armor contempt, I think, is the biggest thing that holds back the winged prince in this detachment. Just losing out on the 2 really, really good defensive stratagems of having a 2-up save all the time and being able to reactively feel no pain and gets mortal wounds, which is one of the biggest killers for the winged prince, makes me feel a lot less good about it in this detachment. But I still think it just is a baseline really good data sheet. Chaos Spawn, I actually think benefit a ton from the detachment rule. Going to strength 6 AP2 on their melee profile makes them feel a lot like World Eater Spawn. It's certainly hard to get them engaged quite as easily because they don't have Scout in Emperor's Children. But the combination of a reactive with Blood Surge is another one of those things that it's frustrating when Victrix do it. Spawn or not Victrix guard, but it is certainly a thing that you have to consider when you're playing against them, right?
Yeah, one of our very
randomly.
few cheap trading units as well. And you see, I normally use them to just start, especially in Cold Ray, just start early engagements to force people to come out to give you more pledge points and stuff.
Yeah, and also a decent beneficiary of the reroll hits and wound stratagem if you really need it in a pinch, right?
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a decent amount of attacks, right?
I didn't even think about using it on them.
Sometimes you just really need a guy gone, right?
Yep.
And then Mauler Fiends can use the demon go through wall stratagem, which helps them a ton with their maneuverability, makes them much more open to rapid ingressing in weird spots, and their gun is pretty good, right? Like being able to push their 4 melter shots to strength 10, potentially with +1 to hit and wound from their data sheet rule is kind of fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, even the against knights, like knights is normally like quite a hard matchup for EC, but Mauler Fiend going into a knight with 2 CP, reroll all hits, all wounds because they're character keyworded. Feels really nuts.
It's very likely to mess them up. Yeah, hitting on 3s,
Yeah.
wounding on hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. Hopefully, you took chip damage on the way in. You're hitting on 2s, rerolling. Certainly does give you a lot of agency for can opening one of those things. They're also going to AP4 on the charge, right? At that point.
No, they're AP2. So
Oh, they're
AP3
AP2,
on
so
the
they're going
charge.
to
Yeah.
AP3, sure, and then AP4 if they're near footprints.
Yeah, strength 15, if that does anything. I don't think that does
I
anything.
don't think there's any breakpoints the 15 makes better, but it's good for them. And then Noise Marines really, really love the plus one strength and AP strategy. I'm going to 6-2 on the Noise Marines Sonic Blaster and 10-3 on the Blastmaster profile, or 11-3 on the Blastmaster profile is frankly cracked, right? Like it's just insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. And even the disperse shot going to AP3 just to deal with like low chaff feels really good. Like playing against the GSC, for example, if you ever see them again, a one Noise Marine squad with that strat will probably just wipe it without question now.
Yeah, because the AP2 makes a big deal there.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting thing is that obviously it's not keyed to anything again. So being able to put it on the Rhino firing decking and still protecting the Noise Marines inside, but still having the Blastmasters go at maximum efficiency does feel a lot more interesting.
Yeah, 11 breaks a lot of brackets. Like just being able to win big nights on fours, which again is something that EC typically struggled with in the past, and then wound in most other tanks on threes again, not just rhinos and stuff.
My Pro Vindicators will never be the same.
Yes.
All right. Let's have a look at a couple sample lists. So I've asked Bruce and Anthony for sample lists because, Anthony will denigrate himself to give me with this. Bruce, talk me through the list that you drafted up here. I asked you for a Fulgrim list specifically. So talk to me. What's here? Why do you like it?
Yeah, so the main things I really wanted to just include was the Exalted Patron on the Lord Exultant. And then I really wanted to try Footprints, and then obviously we got Fulgrim again. With the main ideas being like you have some early trading units with just normal Lord Exultants and Infractors, and then you have like big hitting units with Fulgrim, the Footprints, and then the Flawless Blade Exultant unit. I added the extra Cacophonous because I normally only run one just purely so I can get the enhancement on the Demon Prince, but the strat with the Cacophonous to get extra strength and AP is kind of nuts. It's like 18 shots at 622 and then 6 shots at 1133. Just feels really nice. And then you could, I think I had spawn in this one, or I cut spawn for the Cacophonous. That's what I've done. Yeah.
I think the other thing that really makes Noise Marines interesting this attachment is that they're actually genuinely quite good in melee here because they're charging in with 3 attacks each at 5-1-1, which is a better profile than Infractors frequently have.
Yeah, I've been running the stupid sword on the Cacophonous Disharmonist for ages, and everyone insults me, but now it's going to like 4 attacks at 6-3-1.
I wonder if there's a world you consider running the sword on the Cacophonist as well.
It's 6 attacks. It's 6 attacks at 5-2-1, and then it'll go to 6-3-1.
And then the same thing on
like
the
3 shots.
And then if you run the Noise Marine Sergeant as well, that's actually like a reasonably high amount of melee damage coming out. It's like certainly elves are not going to enjoy being on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, I think I'd get shouted at if I started running the one sword on the Cacophonist.
Look, you're only getting shouted at until everyone's copying you, right?
Yeah, and then most of it is the staple. It doesn't change list design too much. The biggest thing being here is that we have Fulgrim and no Winged Princes. But like you said before, Winged Princes feel kind of not awkward in this detachment, but
if you're going to play Winged Princes, it feels like you just should play Coterie, right?
Yeah, and that's the big question: is this better than Coterie?
Yeah, we'll come to that in a bit. All right. Then I have Anthony's sample list here. So Anthony's gone with the Demon Prince with the +1 strength and attack enhancement, a Lord Exultant with the ignore modifiers, and a Lord Exultant with the Battle Shock at the start of the command phase, the start of the fight phase, which again does stack really well with Noise Marines. We've got a Cacophonist to join one of the Noise Marine squads, 3 Infractor squads, 2 Tormentor squads, 3 Rhinos, a squad of Spawn, and a Mauler Fiend to be able to go through walls. Basically, you're trading out Fulgrim for a bunch of Fulgrim and the Flawless Blades for a bunch of extra stuff, and then a Mauler Fiend to benefit from the going through wall strategy because it's still a powerful thing to have. And we're doing the Footprints here as well. I tried the Footprints about a bunch when Emperor's Children came out, and I quite liked it. He is not as fast, but he's still movement 10 advance and charge, I'm pretty sure. It's not a slow data sheet with the ability to go through walls potentially as well.
T10 as well.
And he fights on death.
Which,
occasionally matters. It certainly makes him a bit more immune to interrupts in this attachment because when he charges in and fights on death, he will still get the charge bonus, I believe. Or is it when you select the fight? I actually don't know how that
works. I think it's charge bonus. I think it's if a unit made a charge, but I would have to double check.
But is it when you're selected to fight, or is it when you make it?
I could not tell you.
Me neither. I'm going to go and look it up before I tell people the wrong thing.
The Mauler Fiends. Does the Mauler Fiend? That's another question.
Selected to fight, so you wouldn't be able to use on a fight on death.
Oh, okay. But you're still AP3 because can you use the detachment rule?
No, that's what you
No,
can't use. You
oh,
can't
okay,
use the
fair.
detachment rule
That's
to
fine.
fight on death because you're not being selected to fight.
Yeah. And does Mauler Fiend have Demon Engine keyword, or is it Demon keyword specifically? Because I was thinking about the 6-inch reroll
I believe it just has both.
strat aura. If it has both, then it's another just jump platform, I guess.
So the Mauler Fiend's keywords, it does not have the Demon Engine keyword. It just has the Demon keyword.
Oh, okay.
So yes, it absolutely can use the reroll charge stratagem, and it can go use the go through wall stratagem, which I think is an interesting place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like. Honestly, I still think Fulgrim is kind of bad, and I don't think this attachment is enough to make him better. Which I don't think is a bad thing, right? I think it's okay that the model on 130mm base is only kind of okay.
Yeah.
He's just very awkward to play.
Yeah.
I know we saw the Peerless Bladesman list from Raven at Worlds do quite well, but I don't know how you feel. I feel like that detachment's still better for Fulgrim than this one is.
I mean, one access to one CP reroll all hits, all wounds against character units is
It's pretty nice.
pretty good, especially the fact that you can do it turn one and still move through walls. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, the list that's missing here is the all beef list that I drafted up because it was Fulgrim, 3-winged princes, and 3 Mauler fiends because I am not a coward. But unfortunately, I didn't think that was good enough to put in the video here. But give that one a try. Get back to me. Tell me if it works. All right, let's jump over to some detachment strengths and weaknesses and our closing thoughts. So for me, strengths, your damage increases just going on turn one. In the meta game right now, the game is very explosive and very let's start fighting quickly. And this detachment, much like Peerless and Carnival, does just get going straight away. You do not have to do any additional hoops beyond the detachment rule, like requiring you to do a little bit of careful charging to just start killing things. It's got good damage stratagems. It's got some good utility stratagems. The Blood Surge and the -1 to wound are both relevant damage reduction stratagems, even if they're not perfect. Fulgrim gives you some CP discount for like actually having some CP economy. And it lets Noise bring some good breakpoints. Fulgrim feels fast. Fulgrim doesn't have to be your warlord. And you can actually kill vehicles without having to use triple winged prince, which is nice. Like the ability to actually punch up into a medium-sized vehicle, even just infractors being strength 5 on the charge, and then full wound rerolls into a rhino. Now,
Yeah.
you don't just rely on the exultant having to be the thing that kills it. Sometimes he will just not do that. But you can actually have the infractors like finish something off without having to grenade it on the way in and stuff. So it helps
Yeah.
you see CP economy in that way as well, right?
Yeah. A great example of that was when we played at Celtic Cup a few weeks ago. When my infractor squad went into speeder, and you just AOC'd, and then I low rolled, and it never died on an objective. So then my tempo of the game just started going because I never got reroll hits turn one with Coach the Ray.
Yeah,
So
then it
stuff like
falls
that
back,
going to
shoots, and just you're much more likely
yeah,
to hit the early breakpoints and just start playing the game.
yeah,
Like you played Carnival at an event this weekend, and
yeah,
you were saying that the biggest thing that it felt was like you could make a full thought like a turn one all in much more appropriately and feel like it was more likely to work without having to stack all these buffs up, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like my game 3 of the event that we went to on the weekend, it was search and destroy. I deployed to go first and went first, and having access to sustained hits just army wide turn one and the damage 3 lord in that detachment just it is so good. But then you just fall off completely, no defensive strats apart from stealth. Yeah, you really suffer. And I only took like 1 winged prince because again it just falls
There's
over.
not a lot
Yeah,
enough to do with it. Yeah.
yeah,
So I think here's some of the tactical weaknesses that we pulled out. It's very tied to Fulgrim for your CP economy. Obviously, you've got the icon generation, but it's quite inconsistent. It requires the unit to live to the end of the phase and all that kind of stuff. Where Fulgrim has the same thing. If he's alive, you probably spend a lot of stratagems. If he's not, it's going to be a little awkward. The lack of ramping damage does mean your late game gets limited, right? You don't have that sort of trading pattern where you've been trading with Emperor Shodan for 3 turns. You're both running out of stuff, but they're getting stronger as the game goes. You're definitely not falling into that sort of Corey pattern. The defensive stratagems are more reactive than proactive. You don't have anything like, I'm going to throw this unit out forward because I know that whatever you put into it, armor content will keep it alive. You're like, I know that whatever you put into it, if -1 to wound is good into you and you have to come within 3-ish of me, then my defensive stratagems will do something. But that's much less guaranteed, especially in a world with such explosive damage output as right now, with like +1 to wound oath and all that kind of thing rocking the metagame. There's no melee interaction. And I think that was the thing that I pulled out as being the most annoying. There's no fight on death. There's very limited options for interrupt. All of your stratagems are charge bonus based, right? We've all played Blood Angels and been like, wow, when they don't charge me, they just fall over. And I think this
yeah,
detachment has a little bit of that where the lack of access to a Vect or anything like that really does feel awkward. I feel like if this detachment had like a Vect aura in it, it would have been a lot more interesting to me. But general inability to not be offensive in the charge phase, right? Like it's just so bad on the receiving end of damage output. Definitely makes me feel a little worried about its like longevity.
Yeah,
And yeah, having the whole only one thing can fight the thing if you want to stick all the buffs on, right? If you don't have a thing that one shots a Victrix guard squad nearby, or you low roll into the Victrix guard squad, you do not have much recourse. You have committed to putting one thing into it so that you can get your detachment buff, and it is now going to be much tougher for you to kind of meaningfully do that kind of gameplay pattern. And then
yeah,
Fulgrim is still just a miserable bitch. Why
yeah.
does he only have 6 attacks, Bruce?
He's got like 6 extra attacks that damage 1 or 2.
6-1-1, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And then he's got his poison. Every command phase, take D3 damage on a 4-up.
Yeah. So what do you think? Anything on the strengths and weaknesses that you think is meaningful to comment on?
Yeah, I mean, you keep going back to Victrix, but the like dealing with Victrix now is EC personally feels like an absolute struggle. Like everything needs to go right to actually deal with one brick correctly. Like your noise ring unit has to shoot it, they're going to AOC it, so you only really kill like one, if that. They then need to blood surge into Lucius, and that's got to be the right target. And then you got to tank shock it with Winged Demon Prince. But in this detachment, having the Lord Exultant be able to go within flawless blades and then having full rerolls to hit and wound, it feels like there's like a unit,
or even just the ignore modifier squad, right? Being able to stack it up to 5 AP and go into the Victrix guard squad, hit it on 2s, wound it on 2s with the Lord Exultant that's full stacked, does give you another out for just lifting most of a squad, right? With just one of your trading pieces.
Yeah, I've seen people talk about just bringing back 10-man infractors with access to the blood surge and then -1 to wound is actually quite annoying for them to
do. You
deal
get
with.
a discount on the 10-man infractor squad in Emperor's Children?
I don't think you do. No, we don't get a lot of discounts. Yeah, but the detachment having so many good strats and not having anything in the codex that gives you CP back sucks.
You have the infractor icons, right? Like you can definitely reasonably reliably generate.
Yeah, but you're already going out and doing the damage. Like you need to again incentivize you to like early trade with an infractor and just go out and throw away the squad to gamble on getting a CP is like on a 6 on 2 dice. To gain access to all of the actual decent strats in this. Like all the strats are good, and I feel like I could probably use every single one of them in one game. But like every turn, I want to reroll hits all wounds against a character. I want to increase the strength and AP of my noise marines, and then in their turn, I want to be able to blood surge, and I want to have -1 to wound as well.
More so than anything else, you want to be able to threaten to blood surge, right? You
Yeah,
want to be able
exactly.
to say, these guys are on the middle objective, and you must engage with them if you want to do any of your secondaries. If you engage with them and then screw it up, I can blood surge, right?
Yeah,
it's that kind of preventative that means your unit doesn't get shot or your opponent doesn't score secondaries.
Yeah, and the better player that you play against, the less likely it is going to be that you're going to get it off anyway.
Yeah, but at that point, you're hopefully they're so aware of the consequences that they're just not taking the play that risks anything, right? They're just not getting their secondaries on the middle objective this turn because you threatened the blood surge and things like that.
Yeah,
right?
And that's why we run Fulgrim, because people are so scared to screen him out and just make sure he can't land in certain areas.
Fulgrim notably can't stand on the middle objective on most WTC boards.
No, but he can move through the crates now.
He can, yeah. He can go up and over them still, right, as well.
I'm not doing Pythagoras. I'm just spending the CP. I'm not wasting my time.
1 CP, I don't have to do math. It's a pretty reasonable CP as far as I'm concerned. So where do you see this stacking up in terms of competitive viability? How do you feel about this detachment? What would you be willing to play this to in terms of like, would I'd take this to an RTT, I'd take this to a GT, I'd take this to a Super Major. Where do you feel like it stacks?
I would 100% take this at an RTT like I just done with Carnival. I feel like in a teams environment, you could really skew lists to deal with a lot of the problems in the meta right now, and really lead on just dealing with big things.
Yeah, I could see this being interesting in like a chunkier meta game, right? If we went back to the sort of the Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, Death Guard meta game.
I feel like this would be good. Yeah. In terms of singles, I mean, like you're always going to compare it to Coterie because EC have Coterie and then like 4 other detachments. And I realistically don't want this to fall into the Carnival Peerless Bladesman area. So I am going to play a bunch of games on it and test a bunch of games on it, and hopefully it is just slightly worse than Coterie, but the strats in Coterie are just so good.
Yeah, that makes sense. Coterie's lack of like a real damage stratagem is definitely a thing that holds it back in some situations, right? The inability to say this unit does more damage than its data sheet says. Once you've already got your reroll ones up, it's very, very unlikely that the reroll hit stratagem makes a huge difference for you. So
Yeah,
having access to one or more than one in this attachment is kind of nice.
yeah. I just feel like easy units just carry themselves a lot, especially in Coterie. Just as soon as they get reroll ones to hit, your damage just goes up by like 15%, and then now I'm purely just doing the defensive stratagems just to keep
Yeah.
going and keep the momentum.
Whereas here, +1 strength and +1 AP are they're like better damage buffs than reroll ones to hit is,
Yeah,
but they are sometimes buffs, right? Strength doesn't always hit a breakpoint. AP doesn't always not just bounce into an invulnerable save. There is
yeah,
not it's not an always damage buff like the core buffs are, which definitely does make it a little tougher.
yeah. This doesn't incentivize a trading slow paced game that Coterie can sometimes do. This feels like if you have access to go turn one and hit what you want turn one, you can just go.
Yeah, you can definitely accelerate a lot harder with this army, right? Like if you
Yeah,
want to just slam your face into your opponent turn two, having not exposed the unit on turn one because you don't want to, because Emperor's Children are expensive, you can play a little bit more of a like,
so
and then I didn't, you don't have the games where your opponent goes first, pulls backwards, you called three, you do nothing, you walk forward, your opponent all ins you on turn two with you having no buffs up, and then by turn three you're dead, right? Like that gameplay pattern that could sometimes happen with Coterie is much
yeah,
less likely to happen here. So it might even be like an easier detachment to play in that sense, right? Where there's just less instant fail state like Coterie can have,
yeah, yeah.
especially if you don't play Fulgrim. Full Coterie, the second you play Fulgrim, you're introducing the instant fail state of oops, he failed 3 saves.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go in TTS and like see where Fulgrim can fit, and then I'm gonna change my list.
To Anthony's version, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would like to see. I think there's a meaningful place here to look for like triple spawn. I think the spawn seemed really good in detachment.
yeah. 6-2-2, and then potentially going up to 6-3-2 with a prince nearby feels pretty nice.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a lot of profile for 80
yeah.
points.
The only issue I actually do have, I'll slander them now, is with flawless blades, is they can't go in transports. Which sucks. So they're just base movement 8, which is still fast, obviously, advance and charge, but it does limit a lot of what they can do.
Yeah. Well, I wish anybody playing Court of the Phoenician best of luck with your way that the use stop interrupts is hope they fail a battle shock at -4. I'm going to shoot you with these three Sonic Blasts are all going to shoot that unit. Everything else is going elsewhere. Stick -3 leadership on you. Take a battle shock test from the what's he called, Cacophonist.
Enhancement.
Then take another battle shock test from the enhancement. That's how I stop Arbor Contempt, and that's how I stop Fight Undead.
That's how I kill one unit. Yeah.
You might get it two places if you manage to get the Cacophonist debuff on the first one, and then the battle shock for that one, and then the second one from the enhancement. Right, you could shut down two. That's how you beat Victory Scarred.
Yeah, it just preps for the Cacophonist to go in with his sword. 6 attacks, 3, 6-3-1.
Hell yeah. All right, everybody. That has been our Court of the Phoenician review. Overall, I think it seems like an interesting attachment that suffers from Coterie being just so powerful, and Fulgrim being kind of difficult to play with. But if you're interested in getting Fulgrim on the table, or you really like Flawless Blades and Spawn, I think this might be a detachment that's got a lot of juice. Otherwise, Bruce, I would ask you where people can find more of you, but you don't really do anything besides chat in the Team Scotland Discord, so I won't make you do it. If you enjoyed what you heard today, check out youtube.com/statcheck for more from us, and you can check out patreon.com/statcheck if you want to chat with everyone. Bruce is even in that Discord, I'm pretty sure. So if you want to harass Bruce for his Emperor's Children opinions, just ping at Bruce in Discord, and he'll probably pay attention if I make
Yeah,
him.
you make fun of me in that detachment, in that Discord every now and again.
I do, yeah. It's to make sure that you don't get complacent and you're actually reading it.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back tonight for a Stat Check live show, and otherwise, I don't believe I'll have time to do any more Garmish reviews before I disappear to the States. So we will be skipping over the Space Wolves, Serpent's Brood, and Nightmare Hunt for the time being. But I will have a look at getting them done when I get back. Otherwise, we'll catch you later. Bruce, say thanks.
Thank you. See you there.